What if Deku was in BNA? First off, if you guys do not know what this is, basically this anime is based around demi-humans, at least you would like to call it that, and there's like a disease going around that turns people, ordinary humans, into these people, but they get an extra added on power that can augment their body into different demi-humans. Basically, if Deku wanted the body strength of a rabbit's legs, he could, or get wings like a hawk, he could as well. If you guys want more info on this anime, I would try and remember to leave the link in the description to a full. In this what if, quirks won't exist. The only thing that will exist that will resemble a quirk will be the beast-itis type of thing that he had in the original anime and manga. So without further ado, let's begin. Just like the original anime in BNA, instead of two people hanging around with each other, they'll be adding Izuku into the mix, so 3 people would be getting the disease in this sort of recurrence. That day, Izuku was walking around with 2 of his friends, Nazuna and Uchiho. If I pronounce these names wrong, I do apologize. As Izuku and both of them were walking around the street, as they decided to take a seat at a bench. When they sat down, Chihiro pulled out a pair of earphones. Instead of 2 in this canon part, it's 3. She pulled out 3 earphones to give one to Izuku and one to Nazuna, as they both put the earphones in and listened to music as they both sat there relaxed and calm. As everything from that day forward, Izuku and Michiru, Nanase and Izuku both walked home together as usual, as they both started a conversation who they like better singing. "So, Michiru, who do you like singing?" Izuku said. "Well, I don't like singing per se, but I do like listening to it with you guys," she said. "So, what do you want to be?" Nanase. I want to be an idol," she said in a very confident tone. As nightfall came around, as they both went home, as Nanase and Izuku and Michiru both lived next to each other like the original counterparts, but instead of Michiru's next door neighbors being random people that doesn't concern themselves with the series, this part would be Izuku. As Izuku and Michiru were both standing outside of their room just about to walk in, as they both walked in and heard a loud yelling outside of their house. "Help me!" a girl shouted, as Michiru and Izuku both ran outside to see Nanase being dragged away by some random strangers. Without thinking, Izuku ran in to try and help her, but he was stopped and pushed to the ground by a guy in a black suit. "Excuse me, kid, but you're not allowed to go any further. This person's infected. It's a bestial, or a beast man," they said in a very aggressive tone. "No, she isn't. She's my best friend. One of my best friends," Izuku said. "You can't just take her away." "I'm pretty sure we can. Any beast man, filthy beast man that gets onto human soil, they're gonna probably be imprisoned and executed in a couple of days," the man said. "No, I won't let you," Izuku said, trying to push him away, but was knocked onto the ground by 2 other guys. "Come on, let's go then." As they both drove away with Nanase in the back, just sitting there like she gave up on all hope, as Michiru came over to Izuku, wondering if he was alright, but knew he wasn't alright. "Izuku, you okay?" Michiru said, reaching out for him. "I don't know. Why did they take her? She's not a beast man," Izuku said. As Izuku and Michiru both walked into Izuku's house, as they both sat down onto the chairs, as they both had a conversation with each other like why would they kidnap her, or why would they take her away and call her a filthy beast man. Beastmen aren't filthy. In this timeline, Izuku actually likes beastmen. As Michiru and Izuku both comforted each other, as Michiru went back to her home. This is where the timeline changes. Instead of Michiru only getting the disease, Izuku would get it as well because he would have been in contact with Nanase as well. As Izuku and Michiru both waked up that day, as they felt something weird on their behind and their ears. As they both felt what was wrong, as they could feel ears and a tail. Izuku freaked out but didn't scream, scared of waking his mum up. As Izuku rushed into the bathroom to see what it was looking like. As he freaked out a little bit but not enough to wake his mum up still. What the hell? This must be a weird dream. Why the hell am I like this? As a shot of a memory shot up in Izuku's head. Wait, they did say a disease, Beastman, didn't they? Maybe it was contagious? Wait, if I've got it, doesn't that mean Michiru? Oh no, Izuku said as he grabbed a hoodie and ran out the front door. The moment Izuku did, he knocked frantically on Michiru's door. As Michiru answered, they both had wide-eyed as they both ran up to her room. As Izuku and Michiru was both freaking out, but Izuku was the only one that was most calmed in this timeline. Izuku frequently tried to calm her down so she didn't wake up her parents. As we do a year time skip just like the original anime, as Michiru and Izuku both stayed in their room for that year, as their parents were extremely worried, but they didn't interrupt because they just lost their bestest friend. Around this time, Michiru would have found an advert on her phone for Beastman City, as she would have forwarded this to Izuku, as they both had sparkly eyes, as they both instantly started packing to get ready and everything. Around this time, Izuku's mum wouldn't be in, same with Michiru's, just like the original counterpart of timeline. As they both snuck out the house wearing really baggy clothes, tucking their tails into their backs. As they both walked out sneakily and started running. As Michiru found a bus that was going to Anima City. As they both jumped on top. As everything would go the same as the canon counterparts, they would both get attacked by bandits trying to claim a reward for Beastman's heads. As one of them fired a gun in this timeline, as Izuku pushed Michiru out of the way, this hitting Izuku in the arm, making him bleed a little bit but not a lot, as Michiru shouted, "Izuku!" as this made her angry, as she manifested her big fist early in this timeline, punching the guy square in the face, knocking him out fully. As the rest of the guys say, "You filthy beast man, you should be dead," as they fired bullets at her dodging them. But this time the minx, I can't remember her name, so just go along with it, guys. As the minx came out like the original, attacking them and finished them off with 2 orcs. As the other thing that'll be different is she wouldn't have asked for a price, as Michiru was distracted running over to Izuku wondering if he was alright. Izuku replied saying, "I'm okay, but I think we should thank for the people who just saved us." As Izuku got up and bowed his head, but still bleeding. As the minx noticed this, as she still had a kit that could help him on hand. As she patched him up and said, "Come on kid, you'll be fine." As Izuku and Michiru boarded a boat to go to Beastman Island. As they both got off the boat, as they were greeted with a silent, hollow city, Izuku shouted, "Hello? Is anyone there?" 2 minutes after Izuku said that, a giant mob of transformed beastmen came running at them. Izuku thought they were about to be attacked, as he tried to use that same thing he did with the men on the side of the road on the cliff, as this came to no prevail, as Izuku just decided to say, screw it, I'll use my bare fist. As Izuku and Michiru both stood there in shock, thinking they had a party every single year on this day. And Michiru was really confused about this, walked around the city, as he just went up to someone and asked them what this was, as they replied saying, "Duh, it's what beastmen do every year on this very day. We party to symbolize that we have peace on this island."
Michiru saw this and ran to him saying,
Oi, what do you think you're doing? As he stood there shocked as he started to run off, as the man got to a safer distance and detonated the bomb, as Izuku just jumped straight into the fray trying to save that poor old woman. Unlike the original, this one actually succeeded, with Izuku saving the frail old woman from being crushed by the giant sign, as Michiru was chasing after that weird guy that had the bomb. She lost him as she just decided to go back to where Izuku was. When she arrived, she saw that Izuku was talking to a weird wolf-looking person, and she came over to wondering what was wrong, as Izuku caught her up with what she missed. As Michiru and Izuku both walked with the wolf guy trying to find and trying to at least help where the perpetrator was, because they were in tandem with him. That's what he thought, the wolf man. As everything went like the original, they would have found them in the alleyway and beat the crap out of them and left them for the police to catch up with them. As we do a little 5-hour time skip of where Micho and Izuku were both walking around trying to find a place to live, as the wolfman helped them with this, as they would have given them a little apartment area that we could have just put all their stuff in to stay for a while, as Izuku and her both sat there wondering which part of the room they could stay in, as they both decided it, as Michiru and Izuku and the Wolfman both went out just like the original to try and patrol the area, as Izuku and Mecha both got lost in the area, as the Wolfman didn't realize. Izuku and Michiru both saw a bunch of strange men walking into the main area where the principal, or whatever you want to call the person who owns the island. They found this strange, so Izuku managed to get their attention, as Izuku and Midori both ran the opposite direction. As they both got cornered into an alleyway, Izuku said, "Shit!" As Izuku and Michiru both tried to go into the corner with Izuku trying to protect her, but he finally had enough, as he managed to transform his arms once again into the gorilla arms that he did in episode 1. "Don't you dare even harm her," Izuku said, as he threw a punch at one of them, flying him out of the alleyway into the wall, cracking it entirely. After when Izuku threw that punch, the Wolfman came down, kicking one of the guys in the face that snuck behind Izuku, as he finished the rest of them off just like the original counterparts as they ran off. As for the explosion that would happen in Anima City, Izuku, Michiru and the Wolfman managed to get into there and to investigate just like the original. And just like the original, all of them flew out of the building. Izuku, with his hero instinct, grabbed onto Michiru, holding her tight into him, as Izuku took most of the impact, but before he could, he activated his gorilla arms to manage to absorb half of it, but he still got injured nonetheless. Izuku said, hitting the ground at such a loud thump, making a little crater. Wolfman came down, wondering if Izuku was okay, as he looked at him, blooded, bruised, and cut all over. Izuku coughed up a little bit of blood from the impact that he got, but it would have been a lot worse if he didn't use the gorilla arms that he recently got. Michiru came to a couple of seconds later, seeing how much pain Izuku was in, as she got a little bit worried, as she picked him up and said, "Come on Izuku, wake up," she said in a very worried tone. "Stop it, I'm okay, I'm just really hurt," Izuku said. Just like the original, Izuku would have been hospitalized the same as the fox guy, off wolf guy you would like to say, but not a little bit worse, but he could still recover from it a little bit faster than normal beastmen. As Izuku and Michiru would have gone up and got the same explanation, how their DNA is unstable and how they can change shape at will. As Izuku and Michiru both left the office in a little bit awkward, but they got stopped by Richu the mink, as Michiru would have done the same joke just like the original, as she would have offered them a way to get outside service like Facebook, Twitter and so on. She would have offered them the briefcase as they looked inside to see a bunch of illegal stuff like phone service, earphones and so on, You guys thought I was gonna say drugs, didn't you? As Ryu the Mink would have counted down from 5, offering them the 50% off. As Michiru said, can you guys start a tab and put in Mrs. Shido's name? Michiru said, as Izuku hit her over the head. You don't do that to someone who's actually showed us commodity and niceness. Put it on mine, Izuku said, handing her the money. Just like the original, Michiru would have sat next to Izuku, logging into Facebook, while she was just had a weird thing pop up saying, Happy birthday Michiru, showing a picture of the cake that she would have had. Around this time, she would have been scrolling down the phone as she saw a live stream next to where she was. As she watched it, there was a person, a woman to be more precise, doing a makeup kind of review. As Michiru would have saw where this was, as she would have run over just like the original before she was knocked out. Izuku would have tried to stand in the way, but his leg still hurt from yesterday. He was a little bit slow, but he still couldn't make it, as Izuku was knocked out in the process, as Izuku and Michiru both woke up in a chair tied up. Instead of just Michiru getting interrogated, it would have been also Izuku in the process of that. As she let it slip, she was on Facebook watching a live stream and she just saw a human on it, so she just wondered if she was human or not. As a dolphin girl came diving off from the balcony. You were on Facebook? As she screamed at top of her lungs. Just like the original BNA episode 4, she started to interrogate them, asking them where they were. As Izuku's both to them said, they were from the countryside, but I originated from Tokyo, Izuku said. As she untied Izuku and Michiru and explained how much she hated her dad like the original anime. As Izuku and Michiru both saw the box that she had as she opened it, explained these were her treasures from the human side. As Izuku and Michiru both hold the earphone in their hands because it reminded them of when they had times with their one best friend who was also now a beast man. They were thinking they'll never see her again, as they would have visited the mainland like the original. But the only thing they'll be changing here, Izuku would have calmed both of them down when they had the argument. Izuku would have seen that she was being transported to a tank, keeping a close eye on those humans. They would have put her into a tank like the original. Izuku would have really gotten worried here because he didn't think she could swim or not in salt water, or basically that. As Izuku transformed instantly, as Michiru saw this as well, as they both used their gorilla arms like the original, but it would have caused a mini shockwave, like 5% one-for-all shockwave, sending most of the humans back there onto their backsides. As this is where we move to episode 5 and the ending of this chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you do want more of this series, try and get to 200 likes, and I'll try and get it out by the end of this week. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.